some sort of growth in sight, it's going to just be more difficult. And I think it'll be even harder to go through that process, as you're seeing more and more people leave leave the company. Um, but I have to say that I'm I am, do have a little bit of anxiety about leaving the job itself, but I think from my perspective, keeping it positive, I think that there's a lot more out there, like a lot more opportunity, um, things to be explored that if we had stayed, we may not have identified and
Well,
found or
right, because we would have been in our own little cocoon. We would have still
exactly.
been in the work cocoon and not realized that, you know what, we are really fortunate that it happened during the holidays and now it's the first of the year and everybody has new budgets, which is really cool. And there's a lot of things, a lot of openings and opportunities out there that we just wouldn't have been aware of. So from that perspective, you're completely correct. And I was just amazed also just to see all the different virtual things. I've been getting all these emails about virtual vocations where
Yeah.
they want to hire you and you work remotely and do the stuff for them. And I think that's so cool because I really like the fact that we sit around on Sundays and do our podcasts, and I love the idea of working remotely, and working from home and sitting around and having my cup of tea or a glass of wine and enjoying my environment. So yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think that I think it's hard because we've always been company gals,
Hmm.
kind of attached to a company and its culture and being part of that. And I think this has at least forced us to kind of understand what is it that we really want
Hmm.
and given us a chance to kind of identify, do we want to go back to that world or not? Or maybe pursue something that's a bit different, um, than being attached or feeling as if you have to have this kind of paternal company sort of taking care of you, versus making it more a path for yourself and what you could do.
Hmm. And do you feel more relaxed, Linda?
I feel so much more relaxed. Like I definitely am much more relaxed. And the funny part is that, when we got the paperwork, there was literally like a 1 inch, I don't know, maybe 2 inch stack of documents that we had to go through. And one of the first things they did is made an appointment, which you did too, with a financial advisor to kind of take us through like, what does this mean? What's all the transition? What's all the paperwork? How do we manage? What should we move, not move? And I hadn't seen my financial advisor in maybe, and it's been about 2 years, face to face,
Hmm.
because we usually do a lot of things over the phone. We try to meet annually, but we didn't have an appointment last year. And when she saw me, she looked at me. She goes, "You are the most relaxed I have ever seen you,
I
and
know.
you are the most happiest. You're like the happiest person who's just lost their job." Because I didn't have this like weight of having going into like a job that, number one, was very stressful, because there were so many balls in the air that I had to keep juggling and making sure that all the different projects, because as you know, we were understaffed,
Hmm.
right? And so in order to be able to continue doing that workload, it was just like all the time, on, never having a moment to relax. Early morning meetings, late evening meetings, because we're a global company, so all the time zones are in play.
Hmm.
And for me, just to say, oh God, I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to meet a deadline or, make sure that this presentation or that is meeting somebody's expectations anymore. It was just like, okay, now I can just relax. And now it's all about finding the next opportunity or something that for me will be of benefit or personal growth. So, Shelley, I'm more relaxed and I'm feeling happier, I think, with myself. What
Hmm.
about you?
Well, I think I'm happier. I think I'm really enjoying the fact that we are taking our time. I like the fact that I'm sleeping a little more. I'm not getting up at 4:40 anymore, so I feel kind of like a normal person from that perspective. I love the fact that I can get up and go to the gym and work out anytime I want now instead of having to squeeze things in. But I also like the idea of us getting together and just taking our time and realizing what's really important. We had mentioned that earlier, but really trying to find what's going to make us tick,
Right.
and not having to jump into something and not having to panic about, running out of money because something will come our way. So from that perspective, it's all good. And I really like the fact that, it's like minus 50 degrees outside and we're not out in this, in the bitter early morning. So from that perspective, I'm happy.
No, and I think from at least for myself, just being able to spend more time with family
Hmm.
and
That's
not
true.
feel anything has to be rushed
Hmm.
through with that you
Hmm.
can take your time, or just things around the house that you've wanted to do. You don't have to like kind of run through them because you only have a weekend or a couple of hours in the evening. Now you can kind of take it in a little bit more, really think through things. I think I'm enjoying that piece of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Taking in those that list, your to-do
Oh yeah.
list, but to realize you don't have to squeeze it all in a weekend now.
No, because like before, like remember right before the holidays, we're
Mm.
like, we got to get another podcast in. We have to have it. And then we're like, why?
That's right. Take a break. We're off forever as
Yes.
of January 1st.
Yeah, we're like, well, why don't we do it afterwards?
Yeah.
Like, why are we trying to squeeze it in or force it in?
Mm,
There's no need to do that.
no.
We have the benefit or the ability to kind of take some time. And I think that's what a lot of people feel like, go, go, go. I got to rush into
Mm,
the next job. And I
mm,
think that might be a mistake,
mm.
is to really think through what do you really want if you have the luxury, because not everyone has the luxury
Right,
of having a good severance package where you do get a little bit of time to be able
right. But I do like
to take it in.
the fact, luxury of time. I mean, to just take a step back and ground ourselves to say we don't have to get it all in, under this certain time constraint anymore because we don't have the time constraints, which is wonderful.
Yes. So one of the things that we'd like to do is have you share some of your stories. In particular, what we've been talking about when reality hits, that last day in the office, that last day handing in your computer, finishing up that paperwork, making it truly, come to
Final.
life, and that's the last time. And then also that first day, had Shelley talked about the evening before, then morning of, where you no longer have this job that you've been going to for quite some time. Please share your stories, your thoughts, Shelley.
Yeah, absolutely. What you felt like, that morning or the evening before, and that harsh reality, or maybe it was a sense of, great relief for you. But we'd love to hear it.
Yes, and you can share those on our website. Go to our website, please, and you can click on off now what at gmail.com and send us your stories. Also, we have a blog, so if you want to post anything on the blog, a reaction to anything we've talked about on this podcast, we'll share those as we come up for future podcasts as we're getting your feedback. Much appreciated.
And don't forget, they'll be every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. Talk to you soon.
Bye bye.